This is Amy Chan from CakeDecoratingSchool.com, and if you like cake decorating, you're in the right place. In this video, we'll be making a large daisy cake. It's broken down into steps, so you can skip ahead, rewind, and rewatch as desired. First up, for this cake, we're going to make a little purple, but we're going to make several shades today. And we're using American-style buttercream and the following liquid gel colors: violet, lemon yellow, some royal blue, which I have a little bit of out on my lid there, and finally, some sunset orange. I'm just going to start with a nice drop of violet and a couple of specks of blue, because I just don't want it to be a pure tone. I want to take it just a little bit closer to that blue. And you can see that combination gave us a nice, wonderful, kind of light periwinkle shade of purple. Next up, we're going to make some yellow for our centers. So I'm going to start with a nice drop of that yellow. And I'm just going to give myself just a couple of specks of orange, because I don't want it to be too lemon. I want it to have a bit of that egg yolk kind of vibe. And you can see that color came together nicely. We have a nice yellow. It has like a kind of rich, buttery feel to it, almost like whipped egg yolks, and that's going to be perfect for our centers. Our final color is going to be just a little bit of green. We want to add a little extra detail to our centers. And I want it to be a kind of spring green. So I'm going to go with more yellow than blue. And that should shift our balance so it has a bit of a citrusy or kind of electric green kind of feel. But I'm just doing little specks because I don't want it to be too intense of a hue. And you can see that gave us a nice, light, very spring feeling green that's definitely more towards yellow than blue. So it's got a nice balance to it, and it's going to look great next to the color that we made for our center. We're using 4 disposable bags for this project. The first, with our green, we're using a number 3. We've split our yellow into 2 bags. The first has a number 233, or you can see that multi-opening grass tip. The second bag of yellow has a large round tip on it. We're using an 808. Any number similar in size, like an 806, would work as well. And finally, we have some extra white loaded into a bag with a number 127. This is a large decorator size petal tip. We're going to use a couple of simple techniques for this large oversized daisy cake. The first are our hook petals. So just like we do with the daisy, we want to set ourselves up so that when we're working on our cake, we're thinking about it a bit like our flower nail. The skinny end of our tip is going to be pointing out towards the edge, and the fatter end of that opening is going to be pointing towards the center. And we're going to do the same thing we normally would with a hook petal, where we pull out, let it curve around, and then pull back. These are just much bigger since we're using a bigger tip. For our center, we're going to use our large 808 tip, and we're going to need to make it just a little bigger than we normally would. So you're going to set yourself up just like you're going to do a dot. You're going to squeeze that, and just like we're maybe doing a plain tip swirl on top of a cupcake, we're going to pull out and spiral around, and we're going to make our center. You can, even if you want to give it more height, build up on the top and spiral back in, and that'll give you a nice rounded look, a nice disc of yellow buttercream to work on. We wanted to give our center a little bit more of a complex look, since it's kind of going to be the star of our cake. So we're going to use some little number 3 tip spikes with our green. For these, we're just going to hold at a 45-degree angle. We're going to squeeze a little dot, and then we're going to pull away while we're still squeezing. And we're going to give it a little bit of a look of a light green, little frilliness right at the base of the petals where it meets the center. And finally, we're going to use our multi-opening tip, that number 233, to make a multi-dot. So for this one, instead of pulling away while we're still squeezing, like you would do if you're going to do kind of a shag look or make fur or grass or anything like that, we're going to go really close to the surface, just like we would for a dot with a small opening, squeeze, stop, and then pull away. And that's going to give us the look of multiple dots. This is a great way to cover a bigger surface area really quickly, because you can put all those dots in with one simple squeeze. Our first step for working on our cake is going to be coating it in our light purple. And we've got a nice 6-inch round cake to work on. It's 2 layers of cake. We've leveled them off and filled between and given it a nice coat of white buttercream that's nice and firm to chill up so that we're ready to work on. That way we don't have to use too much color on the outside. And once you're done getting that top, just slowly work your way around the sides. And since we're just putting on a nice thin layer, it shouldn't take too much buttercream or too much time. And if you need to while you're working, stop, put it in the fridge, let it chill, and then come back to it when it's nice and firm. But basically, we just want to get a nice, even coat of that purple on the side of our cake and on the top. And I often give mine a nice little quick pass with a bowl scraper to help push frosting in any low spots or dips, and then a bench scraper just to straighten up those sides. Get some nice, clean, crisp vertical lines, and then it'll be easy enough to clean up the top. Just open that blade of the spatula towards yourself so you can just kind of see the bottom. Nice 45-degree angle. And just gently swipe as you turn your turntable. And we've got a cake that's ready to work on. We've got our cake covered. We're going to get started working. And you can put your cake in the refrigerator, let it chill up if you need to make it easier for you to work on. I'm just going to get started with my petals. So I want to start a little in from the edge so I give myself room to pull out without going past the edge of the cake. And I'm going to pull towards just a center dot every time. So you can give yourself a little mark in the center of the cake if you need to, but just nice and slow so we get beautiful petals. And they don't have to go all the way to the center. We're going to have a big yellow dot in the middle, so don't worry about the void. And don't worry about the ends of the petals either. We're going to do more than one layer. We just want to make sure that we're pulling towards that center every single time. So just slowly work your way around your cake. And it's fine if you've got a little bit of purple showing through. The petals don't need to be right next to each other. Sometimes a little bit of irregularity, so a few gaps and then a few that are closer together, is a great way to add some natural looking variety to your cakes and your floral creations. And there's our first row of petals. We're going to go in and give ourselves a second row. And daisies often have multiple layers of petals, so that's not too unrealistic in terms of look. So we just want to come a little closer to the center this time. And we're going to pull to that same point, and you'll see the tails will end up taking up more space, and they're going to fill in more of this area that's got purple on it right now. So you might just need to kind of lift the tip a little bit. So think about rotating it so that skinny end is just a little higher up, and that should help us nest our new row of petals right on top at a good angle so that we're not running into the work that we already did. We're going to pull towards that same center point. And just think about doing them, if possible, when you can, kind of offset to the first. So not directly on top of each other. Think about going in between those petals. And that should help to fill in the purple. And take up more of that center. Anytime you need to, readjust your bag, and you can always load more frosting into it if you need to as well. For a third row, we're not going to go as tightly packed or completely around. And I almost want to think about piping these like they're on their side. So rather than piping kind of sideways, think about pulling up and towards yourself. So we just want to get some petals that have a little bit of height. You can see that kind of from the side, and a little bit of an angle to them. And I'm just going to kind of randomly fill in a few of these anywhere I think it needs a little bit of that space filled in, and a little bit of extra volume. So I did 1, 2 together, kind of 3 together, maybe do some singles around in here. And this is just going to give our flower just a little more height towards the middle and help fill in a little more of that space without making a really compact third row. Now we're going to work on the center. I've got my bag of yellow with that big tip on it. I'm just going to make myself a dot right in the middle, and then I'm going to draw around it. And I didn't load too much into my bag. Because I didn't want to waste too much of my stuff. But it doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to go dot, swirl all the way around. Think 1 rotation at least around. If you want to give it more height in the middle, you can actually pull it back up on top and spiral it around again. But I think for me, this is good. We've got a nice present center there. It's a good mass for us to work on. I'm going to come in with my green next. And I'm just going to pull those little spikes, and I'm going to follow the angle of the petals. So I think I'm going to start at the base of the yellow. I'm going to pull out and just flick up a little bit at the end. So just think about giving yourself a little pop of green here at the center, right on the base of all those white petals. If you have any purple showing through, this is probably going to finish covering up the rest of it. And you can do more than 1 layer of these spikes. You can go denser in some areas if you've got a little more purple you want to cover up. Honestly, I don't mind if some of the purple shows through. I like the idea of gaps between the petals and a nice kind of darker, richer color just kind of peeking through. It gives it the look of almost shadows. Now we're going to come in with our second bag of yellow that has our 233 tip on it. And I'm just going to start on the outside edge of my center. I'm going to go all the way around, and I'm going to work in concentric circles. I'm going to put on those beautiful multi-dots just to give myself some really nice quick coverage all the way around. And if you got like a little off on your shape, you can even add more. Don't be afraid to go right on top of what you already did and make it really compact. So if I need to fill in a little area, I'll do some dots, and then I'll go right on top of it and do another layer of dots. For this, really, the messier it is, the more compact, the more you've got going on, the better it's going to end up looking. But you can see it already looks more like a flower center now. I've gone around the outside once. I'm just going to keep going, pick a place to start, and work around. And anywhere I need a little extra volume, my little base wasn't exactly the same height, there's a little dip or a little irregularity, just pipe right on top of the work you already did. I like the way we're going with this. I'm just going to give it a little bit of love in a few spots just to help adjust the shape and overall feel. And you can always take a step back and look at your work. Make sure you like the way it's going. But there were just a few spots where I wanted just a little bit more body to kind of round it out. And you can see once we're done, that initial shape that we had under there, even though it was a little messy, it doesn't really matter because we can use that multi-tip and that texture it gives us really in our favor and create a nice, beautiful center for ourselves. And here we have our lovely finished daisy cake. We've got this large oversized daisy, so just a single flower covering the top of our cake. We've got some nice contrast between that lovely purple and that buttery yellow center. And you can see we've got some of that purple showing through between the petals, which helps those white petals stand out, which is fantastic. So it looks really high drama and detailed and beautiful and complex, but it's really just a few simple techniques that we're using. And if you enjoyed this lesson on our large daisy cake, we hope you'll check out our flower series lesson on daisies for a more in-depth tutorial on the flower and making hook petals. We hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It truly supports our channel and helps us share more in-depth cake decorating lessons. Want to level up your skills? Our yearly membership has certificate programs from beginner and up. Learn more at cakedecoratingschool.com.